We are now live.
Thank you very much. Good evening and welcome to a special Town of Ajax Committee of Adjustment meeting on Wednesday, September 10th, 2024. This meeting of the Committee of Adjustment is being held in person in council chambers at the Ajax Town Hall and is being live streamed for public viewing on the internet pursuant to the Committee of Adjustment terms of reference and meeting procedures. If we encounter any technical difficulties, we may take a brief recess while they are resolved. Thank you for your patience. We will now proceed with the meeting. For those joining us in person this meeting, if you haven't done so already, I ask that you complete the sign-in sheet at the podium. If you wish to speak to an application, please include your email address when completing such. I will now call this meeting to order. We would like to begin this meeting by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is situated within the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississaugas, more specifically the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, signatories of the Gunshot Treaty of 1788 and the Williams Treaties of 1923. This land is and will continue to be home to the Indigenous peoples. Let us acknowledge the mistakes and traumas of the past through authenticity and support truth and reconciliation. Let us engage and celebrate Indigenous communities by being leaders of action in acknowledging the United Nations Declarations of Rights of Indigenous Peoples and the Truth of Reconciliation Commission's recommendations towards truth and reconciliation. Let us keep these principles close as we continue towards truth and reconciliations and as we move forward with kindness and respect as a community. Before moving on to the application portion of this meeting, I would like to confirm whether there are any disclosures of interest from members of the committee. Seeing none, we have one member that is virtual. And I am going to assume there is no disclosure there. I will now proceed to the mandate of the Committee of Adjustment. The Committee of Adjustment derives its jurisdiction and authority from the Planning Act. The committee is responsible for considering applications which seek to authorize the following: minor variances from the provisions of the town's zoning bylaw, extensions, enlargements, or variations of a legal non-conforming use of any land, building, or structure. Permit the use of any land, building, or structure for the purpose that, in the opinion of the committee, conforms with the provisions of the zoning bylaw where the uses permitted in the zoning bylaw are defined in general terms. Consent to sever a new lot from an existing lot. Consent to alter the existing boundaries of a lot, such as lot additions and lot line adjustments. Consent to register rights of way and easements over land. Consent to sell, mortgage, charge, or enter into any agreement for more than 21 years for a portion of land. And finally, validation of land title where there has been an error in the description of the land. When considering minor variances, the committee is to assess whether the general intent and purpose of both the Town of Ajax official plan and the zoning bylaw are maintained. The proposal is desirable for the appropriate development and or use of the subject land, building, or structure, and the variance is minor in nature. When considering consents, the committee must ensure proposals conform to the Region of Durham and the Town of Ajax official plans and have regard to matters outlined under the Planning Act. In all scenarios, the committee must ensure consistency with the in effect provincial policy statements and conformity with the in effect provincial plans. The procedure for tonight's meeting will be conducted in the following manner. The applicant and or agent will be called upon and at their option may provide a brief description of the minor variance and or consent application that they have applied for. Committee members may ask questions of the applicant or agent, after which anyone with direct interest in the application will be given the opportunity to speak either for or against the application. Once a motion is put forward by a committee member, there will be no further input from the applicant and or anyone having interest in this application. Any decisions made tonight are final and binding. A respectful decorum during this evening's proceedings is expected of all present at all times. I will now take a moment to introduce you to the committee members presiding over the proceedings this evening. To my right, we have Thomas Baca and Bernadette Santiago, and virtually Ken Elliott is joining us. I am the acting chair of the committee, and my name is Lori Roberts. The application for tonight's special meeting is application LD 06-24, submitted by Gowling WLG. Consent application LD 06-24 is to request a certificate of validation over the subject parcel of land legally described as and municipally known as follows. Part Block 1, Plan 40M-2616, Part 18, Plan 40R 30237, Town of Ajax Regional Municipality of Durham. The PIN number is 26408-1898 LT, and the address is 1153 Church Street North. For the applicant or agent, staff has written a report recommending approval of the application. The recommendations are that the Committee of Adjustment approve consent application LD 06-24, requesting a certificate of validation over the subject parcel of land legally described and municipally known as I just stated. 2, the Committee of Adjustment delegate approval authority to staff for any subsequent consent applications requesting certificates of validation over parcels of tied land to the Durham Common Elements Condominium Plan number 305. Is the applicant present?
Good evening, Madam Chair. My name is David Sunday. I'm here on behalf of the applicant.
Thank you very much. Can I just confirm that you received a copy of the report from Ajax staff?
I did. Mr. Simpson sent that through to us earlier today, so thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And do you have any questions or comments in regards to this application?
I'd be happy to provide a bit of an overview of essentially how the situation came to light and the basis for the application. So the overall background, which we cover briefly in the letter, is this is part of an area. I believe it's sometimes referred to as the Workman's Plan or the COGS Workman's Plan. It is as you noted, the lands in question are identified as parcels of tied land to a common elements condominium. That condominium is Durham Condominium Plan number 305. That plan was registered in December of 2018. And it went through the Town of Ajax planning approvals and was approved under the Condominium Act and registered. The parcels of tied land are freehold parcels. They're not units within a condominium. And so they need to be created in some fashion. In this case, the developer applied for and obtained a part lot control exemption bylaw, which was passed as bylaw. And that bylaw was passed in April of 2018, so April 23rd, 2018. And as is commonly the case with part lot control bylaws, it specified a 2-year period of validity. And so that part lot control bylaw was in force and effect from April 23rd, 2018 until April 23rd, 2020. Many of the parcels of tied land, there were a total of 140 parcels of tied land within that were tied to the Common Elements condominium. Many of them were conveyed, is my understanding. However, a number of them, the date of conveyance, well, all of them were conveyed, I should say, but the date of approximately 30 of them, perhaps more, was after the expiry of the part lot control exemption bylaw. And so for each of those, give or take 30, one would have to look at whether the conveyance contravened the subdivision. As the committee members are likely well aware, in Ontario, if you wish to subdivide land, you must have a Planning Act approval, and typically that takes the form of either approval of a subdivision, a consent to severance, or approval of a part lot control exemption bylaw. And in the absence of that, we have a statutory provision that says if you convey land without the proper Planning Act approval, then the effect is that the transfer is essentially ineffective. It says the statutory provision in question, which is section 50 sub 21 of the Planning Act, says that any agreement or conveyance in contravention of section 50 of the Planning Act does not create or convey any interest in land. And so we have a situation that at the end of the day is what I would call a technical issue, but a very important issue, because when the owners of these properties, any of the owners who have an affected property, go to convey, if the buyer and their lawyer are paying attention, they may identify a Planning Act violation and say to the owner, you don't have a good title, and we need you to fix it. In section 57 for municipalities to validate a parcel where we have these sorts of situations, which are very rare, but they do occur from time to time. And essentially what section 57 says is that and perhaps I'll just show the provision if that would help. I think I can share a screen here. Just see.
Just to let you know, you do every once in a while, your sound does go away. I don't think we've lost any important information, but I think about 3 times we've lost your audio just for like 1 or 2 words.
Okay, well, apologies, and if I need to repeat anything, by all means, just feel free to stop me.
I will. Okay. So do we have to give him consent to share?
I can just read the provision if that's challenging.
Yeah, we do have it in the staff report that was given out. So if you just want to read it, I think that's probably sufficient. Is committee okay with that? Okay. You can just read it.
Sure. So what section 57 says is that a council authorized to give a consent under section 53, other than a council authorized to give a consent pursuant to an order under section 4, here's the operative part, may issue a certificate of validation in respect of land described in the certificate, providing that the contravention of section 50 or a predecessor of it, or of a bylaw passed under a predecessor of section 50, or of an order made under clause 27 sub 1 sub B as it read on the 25th day of June 1970 of the Planning Act. I apologize, it's a mouthful. Or a predecessor of it, this is the critical part, does not have and shall be deemed never to have had the effect of preventing the conveyance of or creation of any interest in such land. And so what it is it's a statutory fix. It requires an application to either council, or where authority has been delegated to the Committee of Adjustment, it requires the application to the Committee of Adjustment. And where the application is approved and a certificate is issued, the prior contraventions are fixed, and the owner who did not have good title suddenly has a good title.
Perfect. Okay, that makes sense. Is that everything that you needed to let us know about this application?
Make just some other points that may be relevant to the committee's consideration, and then I can wrap up subject to any questions.
Perfect.
So the main point I want to make is that this application is entirely concerned with validating title. It is not an application seeking a development approval. What is proposed is already in existence. We're talking about parcels of tied land that have already been developed, homes have been constructed on them. So for this application and for other applications that will likely follow, they aren't seeking approvals to do new things. It's just seeking to validate the title so that those people who have homes and mortgages will have good title and the ability to refinance or convey as they may need to do.
Perfect. Okay. So I am now going to refer to the committee members and see if they have any questions for yourself or for staff. So does anybody? And I know we have one virtual member, so I'll see if he, go ahead, Ken. Is he trying to join us? Say something. Is he here? You can, Ken, if you could, you should be able to speak.
Could you try and speak again, Ken?
No questions.
Okay, thank you, Ken. I just had one quick question, and I'm not too sure if this is to the applicant or to staff, just to verify that this validation, it doesn't stop any future owners for wanting to come to the Committee of Adjustment if they decide they are going to have any sort of developments. It doesn't hinder them in any way?
Through the chair, sorry, you mean the second recommendation?
Well, it's just, we know that this is just a technical issue and that there's no future developments currently on this property, that this is all it is. But if a new owner, if the people who own the property, they sell it and they want to develop the land, they're not prohibited as a result of this.
No, this is just fixing title for lands that already exist.
Okay.
The reason for the second recommendation is because it's such a technical administrative matter, and it's impacting up to 30 properties. We didn't think it was appropriate to come back to the committee 30 different times because we don't know when they'll come. So we would rather just have the ability to issue the validation certificates as they come up.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I'm just going to check one more time just to see if committee has any questions. And there's no one in attendance. Is there anybody online who potentially would have questions? No, seeing none. Okay, so I'm going to look, we're going to handle this. There are two recommendations, so we're going to do two different motions in regards to this. So I'm going to look to see if anyone on committee would like to make a motion on recommendation number 1. Bernadette? Do I?
This motion has been made as the proposal complies with all applicable policies and plans affecting the subject lands.
Perfect. And a seconder? Thank you very much, Thomas. And any discussion in regards to the first recommendation? I do not see any, so I am going to look for a vote on the first application, please. Do I need to do it again? Okay, did it pass? Okay, perfect. Sorry, just a little bit of technical difficulty there. So that the first recommendation, it has been passed by committee. So now I'm going to look for a motion for the second recommendation. Thomas?
Madam Chair, I move that the Committee of Adjustment delegate approval authority to staff for any subsequent consent applications requesting certificates of validation over parcels of tied land to Durham Common Elements Condominium Plan number 305.
Thank you very much. And a seconder? Thank you very much, Bernadette. Any discussion in regards to that motion? Seeing none, is there discussion?
Statement that, should these validations come up, it gives you the authority as staff to just kind of see them through as you see fit. Is that then, what that means is we won't be notifying these individuals that their title issue there's a concern? Or are we just going to wait until there's a need for us to address it?
Through the chair, so actually the original developer's lawyer has reached out to all of the lawyers of the original owners and notified them of this. It's just we don't know when they'll all come online. It could be in stages.
Oh, I pressed, sorry. I think and just a point of clarification, and I'm not sure whether there is an answer to this, but my understanding is he had mentioned that it's going into land titles and that it's to give them the owners will have clear title. So I actually think it gets registered on title.
The certificate does get registered on title, yes. But I think she was asking if other people are aware of the issue that exists. They have been made aware.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Good. Okay. Can I please look for a vote into recommendation number 2, please? Okay, and that motion has also been passed. So both of those recommendations, they have been approved. And as I said, these recommendations are final and binding. So that is it for the special meeting, the application portion of it. I'll just look to see for staff or committee members if there's any other business we need to look into. Seeing none, I will look for adjournment, please. Thank you, Bernadette, and a seconder. Thank you very much, Tamaz. And if we can have a vote for adjournment of the meeting, please. Perfect, and that has been carried, and that has concluded our special meeting of the Committee of Adjustment. Thank you very much.